Today we'll be looking at how to use the tet form, which is used to link ideas together. So we already know how to conjugate regular verbs like kao to kaimasu, or matsu to machimasu, or the kaeru to kaerimasu. The u in the verb simply changes to an i followed with a mas. These are known as u verbs. And then we have ru verbs like taberu. We simply drop the ru and add the mas. Taberu, tabemasu, and the ru verbs. Those are the differences between the u verbs and the ru verbs. Before conjugating the verb, when it ends in u, like in kao, we call this the dictionary form, the plain form, or the finite form. After we conjugate it, we call this the mas base. So the common trait that these verbs share are that they end with the u. We have kao, nomu, kiku, hanasu, matsu. With all of these different verbs, when we want to conjugate it into the tet form, we have to separate them into different classes. Any mas form that ends with i, chi or ri turn into tet. Any mas form that ends in bi, mi or ni turns into nde. Ki turns into ite, and gi turns into ide. There are also irregular conjugations of suru, kiru, and iku. We have shite, kite, and ite. It is confusing because there are so many different variations and because there are different classes. There is a simple way to remember this, however, and that's to remember it to a tune of a song, the song that you're listening to right now. This song is called My Clementine. Eventually, over time, this will become easy for you to remember, and all you'll need to do is just hum the song to yourself. In order to conjugate tet forms for ru verbs, however, this is a much simpler task. Because ru verbs don't conjugate like u verbs, the rule is simple. We drop the final ru and add the tet, so taberu turns into tabette. Easy peasy. Again for miru, we drop the final ru and add in the tet, so miru becomes mite. Something to be careful of are the ru verbs and the u verbs that end with ru. You might get confused not knowing which one to use, the tet or the tet with a small tsu. To solve this problem, we simply conjugate it into its mas form. So we have tabemasu and kaerimasu. Instantly, we can already see that in tabemasu, the final ru is dropped, whereas the ru in kaerimasu is conjugated into the i line. So remember, if you do get confused, conjugate the verb into its mas form, and then you'll be able to tell apart which one is which. Well, now that we have a basic understanding of how to conjugate tet forms, let's just make up some sentences. We've got I ate sushi and I drank water. So, 私はsushiを食べました and 私は水を飲みました. Cool. And so now you can look at lists that you've made of the tet forms, or you can just hum the song to yourself after we found the verbs. So we've got 食べます and we've got 飲みます. Actually, wait. 食べます is a ru verb, so we just drop the mas, simple, and we put in the tet. Okay, ビミニンで. So we got 飲んで. Now let's combine the two together. 私は寿司を食べて水を飲みました. And now we have the magical sentence, I ate sushi and drank water. And of course, the opposite is also okay. So, 水を飲んで寿司を食べました. And when using tet form, it's important to remember and to consider the tense that you're using. We said ate sushi and drank water. These are both in past tense. When you conjugate the first verb into tet form, so tabette, that doesn't determine what the tense is. What does determine the tense of the sentence is the final verb and how that's conjugated. Nomimashita. That's in a past tense, so therefore everything before it, anything linked to it, is also in its past tense. Okay, next example. Let's see. I bought a book and I went home. So we have 私は本を買いました and 私は家に帰りました. And so now you can sing the song again. You go ichiri te. Okay, so cool. So kaimasu turns into katte, and we have kaerimasu that turns into kaete. Combined together, we have watashi wa hono katte and ie ni kairimashita. I bought a book and went home. And again, of course, you can swap it around, but it doesn't really make sense for you to go home then buy a book, does it? Nevertheless, it's ie ni kaite hono kaimashita. Hopefully you've learnt how to use the chet form just a bit today. There are heaps of uses for it, but today we just learnt how to use it to link sentences together. Verb 1 and verb 2. Over time, hopefully the song also becomes easy for you to remember, or if you want to remember it in your own way, that's also fine. But here's the song one final time for everyone.
一輪